Ta-da. Think this is like good?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my belly. Fuck it. The phone can stay in my pocket. I don't think I'm gonna get more calls. All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Genesis,
I'm Junebug.
and this is.
Let's see how this goes.
So for today's video, we thought we would share some games, books, movies, and shows that we've liked and
Just media, basically.
that we've liked, either influenced us growing up or just something that we wanted to share. So.
Or was a big part of our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
As you realize with the age gap, our childhoods were a bit of a different times. But some stuff overlaps, because I was raised a little behind the times, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, like, for one of yours...
And that's not a bad thing.
For one of yours like this, we also covered in school, so...
Yes, a lot of people have.
I hope so. But yeah, we also got snacks for this video because we just got done grocery shopping and we are hungry.
It's been a very busy day for Junebug, especially.
My busy day was yesterday, hers was today.
Well, it would have been split up more evenly, but
Mm-hmm.
with the weather, something get canceled, rescheduled to today. I'm tired.
So, let's jump into it. Is there any place you want to start?
Well, I have games first.
May they rest in peace.
Where are they? Was it just one?
I thought I heard a few, but maybe they fell under the couch.
Okay, we can cut this out. One moment.
Okay.
Oh, I guess it was one? What did that? Okay.
Okay.
If we move out, we'll find some Walter Ritz crackers.
It'll be something for Bianca or Bugs to find.
Yeah. We're back.
Hello.
We saved my crackers.
Mm.
So let's start with games. This could be video games or regular games, but I
Board
think we
games,
stuck towards...
Video games, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for board games...
Because everyone played similar board games. Well,
Yeah.
technically everyone played similar video games, but...
Yeah, board games, card games, like Uno, like the basics, Yahtzee.
Yeah.
So, you want to go through your games first? Or you can eat now.
Let me eat my cracker.
Okay. Alright, so for my games, I chose some that were my favorite growing up. And some of the first games I remember having some sort of achievement on. So Pokemon Red was by far the game I played the most. When I finally got a Game Boy Color for Christmas, it was the red version. I believe a couple of friends had the blue, so we were able to trade back and forth. At one point, I was able to get all 150. I never gotten Mew, but I think it's the first RPG that I ever remember playing. Followed shortly by Shining Force, another favorite. Goes all the way back to the Sega Genesis, where I get my nickname from. And then Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That game kind of sticks out for me because that's the first game I ever remember accomplishing anything. It took me years to go back and actually beat Shining Force, but for Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I got all 7 Chaos Emeralds and turned into Super Sonic for the first time, and it was like, it was a stepping stone for me just because I realized, like, working towards something other than just beating the game, like, there's extra stuff to do, and it's worth investing the time in, because I remember turning into Super Sonic was just so awesome.
So, none of those are on my list. Pokemon was big with my age too, but I was too pure to play Pokemon or have a Game Boy or a DS, so I watched other kids play it, and it was quite entertaining to look at. I was too pure, but so I grew up, we have similar computers we played on as children. I posted it on Instagram. We got my grandma's old, is it Windows 94? Up and running 95. What a drastic difference.
It makes a difference.
Not to these kids nowadays. We got that running, and I used to play that all the time. There hasn't been internet on it in 20 years or more. But I don't know if any of you played this. The Simba's Pride Game Break. This like So Lion King 2 base with Kovo and Kiara, their cubs, and they have 4 different like mini games on it. But the most favoritist one for me is Cub Chase, which is like a backwards Pac-Man almost. Instead of cleaning up the dots, you're putting the paw prints down.
Yeah.
I've been trying to beat the hardest level all in one sitting so far, and I can't do it. But that one, I just loved it so much. So much so that I brought the dinosaur computer here.
It's super cute to watch her play it.
It is?
I think so. I'm playing the PlayStation or watching something on TV and I look over and I just see your head over the top. It's a old school CRT monitor, so it's massive.
He's a dinosaur.
Just to see like this half of her head pop up. Wow.
With my readers.
Yeah, it's cute.
I would play more games on there, but the disk drive, that didn't quite survive the multiple decades. But another one, when my parents finally got some more monies, we weren't as pure. I got a DS. And the first game I ever played on it, the first game they got me was Mario Kart. And not like Mario Kart, like, it was just Mario Kart for Nintendo DS. So like the original for Nintendo DS, maybe? And I still play that to this day. It is quite fun. And when I tried to play the Wii version, I was terrible.
It's fun watching you play it just because Mario Kart's fun to watch.
Yeah. And then I have also old school that most people my age probably would have played these. I played Oregon Trail 2. Not the first one. 2. On the old computer. We got it to work on my laptop. And then I also played Amazon Trail, which is basically similar to that. Someone wanted to make an Amazon version where you're on the Amazon River. And I played that a lot, too.
We played the original Oregon Trail. Was it through something online like we done?
Yeah, but the Oregon Trail 2 was from my disc.
Okay.
I should have brought out the old school disc.
It's somewhere around here.
Oh, I know where it is.
Okay. So books. I haven't really been much of a book person.
He's not a reader.
Some say I can't read. She hates that joke.
I've had too long of a day for this.
Yeah.
I just eat crackers.
One of the first books I remember, like that, just the story stuck with me, was the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant.
Aww.
They ended up making it into a movie, like
It was alright.
not that long ago. I remember reading the book.
I liked that book too.
I think is either late elementary school or early middle school.
I liked a lot of his book.
I read it. I think it was the first book I read more than one time because I liked it so much.
Aww.
And then I ended up reading, Flowers for Algernon, and I believe it was my senior.
I read that.
My senior
Pulls
English
at the
class.
heartstrings.
Yeah.
I read that in 8th grade. It was required in 8th grade for me.
I think that's got to be hands down my favorite book, Flowers for
Really?
Algernon. Yeah.
You never told me this because he just doesn't read anything.
No, it's not a particularly long story.
No.
So
that's probably why you like it.
It's really great. Just watching the journey that is it the janitor who undergoes the treatment?
I don't think he's a janitor. It's his name Charlie?
I think so. It's been a long time since I've
Have
read
you seen the movie?
No. I've just read the book from way back when, and
The movie's pretty good.
I can only imagine. I remember reading it and like tears forming in my eyes because the guy knew what was going to happen to him, and like he did all he could to stop it and then to save the mouse. And man, that was such a good book. The other book really that made an impact on me was Stephen King's Nightmares and Dreamscapes, which is a collection of horror stories that he wrote, usually short stories, and it's got one of my most favorite revenge stories of all time.
The lighting's better up here, but I want to be back.
Yeah, I know. I just gave up on it. A mob boss kills a man's wife over something.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Shit. Well, it's not
It's
like
okay.
it's a short story. I don't think they're gonna make a movie out of it.
Well, no, for anyone reading the book.
Oh.
People read books, you know.
I disagree. So mob boss kills guy's wife, and to get revenge, guy takes a construction job between a stretch of road that only he travels on. So he basically digs a pit overnight, and the next early morning, when it was just going to be the mob boss on the road, he drives into the hole, not knowing it's there, and then just buries him alive.
Oh,
Like the end of the
nice.
story, I believe, is just the guy walking off like into the sunset while he can hear the muffled screams of the mob boss.
Oh.
Like,
Well, he probably deserved it.
yeah, he's an asshole.
Most mob people are, I think. Well, geez, your books are so, like, deep and touching.
Well, what's yours?
Well, I read a lot, so this was hard for me. I really love books. But my number one, I read it 8th grade. 8th grade, I found it in the middle school library. It's called Firebringer. I have the book. If I knew we were shooting right away, I would have like grabbed a couple of props. But
Oh, we can edit them in later if you want.
it's okay.
We got options.
But Firebringer is by David Clement Davies. It's not a popular book. It's, I don't know a good way to describe it without giving it away. I have a hard time of describing something without revealing the plot. But it's such a good book to me. And it's a standalone. Usually I'm always obsessed with series or accidentally get hooked on series. I really appreciate good standalone books now. Like, one in time. And I read this book every year since 8th grade. I think I read it twice that year because I bought it after the school year ended. And I think I just read it for the 8th time or the 9th time. And it still brings tears to my eyes at the end because it just means so much to me now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the story's not the bestest story in the whole wide world. Like, if you read it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. But just reading it for so long, it has a place in my soul and heart.
Well, for the years that I've known you, was it every summer you start reading it?
Yeah.
She do.
And then this is a book series. It's a trilogy, though, so more manageable. I didn't get into the series, the Merlin series that were tied into it. But these are the Great Tree of Avalon books. Again, not super popular. What drew me to it was the cover was shiny.
Shiny things.
Yeah. And I just really liked how it's set up. Like, I don't know if this is about the original Sturry. The original Sturry.
The original theory.
Sturry and Merlin. Merlin the Wizard. And it...
No.
I'm like, I don't have time to explain. But this is like his grandson's story.
Okay.
And their world is basically this massive, massive tree. I think there's like some theories of how that's how our world is technically in the universe. It's like forms a big tree of life. And so it just follows his grandson, and it's such a good book too. Books. And then these aren't as touching, but I started reading these elementary school? 5th grade? And they're the Warrior books, all the Warrior Cat series. I know it doesn't sound cool when I say that, but I actually...
Warrior Cat.
Shh. I
Thunder
tried...
Cats. Sorry. I'll shut up. Did you lose your train of thought?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So the Warrior books, you get it. And then I just had some bonus ones because I have a hard time limiting them. I read this one about a cult in high school. It's called Seed. And just really set me on my path of researching cults. Not to be in one. To just learn about them. Because people be crazy.
They have to be crazy. And it makes me happy to hear that you don't want to join a cult. Like, it's going to help you sleep better at night.
And then I put Anne Frank. Most people are required to read it. I was never required to read it, oddly enough. I just read it. I've read it 3 times now, all the way through. And I just learn more from it each time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many books that mean a lot to me. I could go on and on. But
we can do like a bonus thing at the end for other things that made an impact or that we just loved, because I got some at the end too.
And then, Very Hungry Caterpillar when I was a little one.
So movies, I guess, would be next.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the first movies I think I ever remember watching was Ace Ventura's Pet Detective. That's kind of when I fell in love with Jim Carrey. Followed most of his career pretty well, and that the movie was just so off the wall, and it's one of the more quotable movies of his too. Like
I think off the wall's an understatement.
yeah, there's just a lot of little things in that movie that he does that I love so much. Followed by
Would
Clue.
not do well released nowadays.
Probably not so much. There's a lot of movies I feel like that just wouldn't hold up well.
Didn't age well.
Clue, on the other hand, would be one that would hold up well.
Sounds familiar.
Oh,
Remind
yeah.
me in the audience.
Well, Clue is the movie is based off the board game where you find
It's
out.
not the other way around.
No,
Oh.
the board game inspired the movie.
Well,
Star role was Steve Curry, the man. He's done so many things over the years. He's one of my favorite actors of all time.
there's so many Steves. I'm trying to picture the right Steve.
I'll show you a picture after all this, but there was 3 different endings filmed for the movie,
Oh.
and depending on which theater you've seen, you got to see a different ending. And
That's cool.
if you bought the VHS, or like I pirated the copy, it has all the endings in it, so you get to see.
Oh.
And the way they tied it all together, it's great. It's a hilarious movie. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then one of my favorite movies of all time, Dodgeball.
Ooh, I do like Dodgeball. It's funny.
It's within my top 5. I think Clue's in my top 5 too. Just Dodgeball is
It's funny.
yeah.
What else needs to be said?
Yeah,
Ben Stiller.
Alan Tudyk is probably my favorite. Steve the Pirate.
Isn't it called the Frat Pack or something? Like there's Vince Vaughn, there's Ben Stiller, like Jack Black.
No, Jack Black's not in it.
Well, he should.
All right, well, go ahead and jump into yours.
Movies, I obviously had a lot of the usual, like Lion King and just those movies. I loved Lion King too a lot, honestly. But I was 8 or 9 when Avatar came out, which I'm still waiting for that second one, James Cameron. But I loved it. I've probably watched it more than 20 times.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. I love it so much. I haven't watched it in a hot second. Mainly because we don't have it. But I love it so much. I wanted so bad to live on Pandora.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they look just so nice and happy, and their fruit looks good, and they get to ride these bird reptile things. James Cameron.
I did like it. I seen it in theater. It just kind of seemed like an older movie, Ferngully. It had Robin Williams as a bat. Steve Curry was the main.
Avatar is better.
I'm sure a lot of people think so, but it reminded me so much of Ferngully, which is a good movie.
And then I haven't watched this it's probably since my childhood, but Free Willy. Well, you know what that one is.
Oh yeah, what is it about that movie that like?
I watched it like nonstop as a child.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to be a marine biologist for like 8 years of my life. Like that was where I made college plans actually.
That's cool.
And then I was like, that's expensive, and I could not live in Michigan.
Yeah. You have to leave family.
If I wanted to do like dolphins and not just like bluegill.
Well, I don't know if there's any like big aquariums around here that even have.
Not really.
See, I don't think it can in Michigan.
No. My head looks weirdly tilted. Like this earring's way down here. Oh well. But my other one is the Transformers series. I loved those as well. The first 3. Those 4 or 5, well, they weren't necessary, in my opinion.
I remember when the first one came out, everybody was kind of like,
That was awesome.
Like, how are they gonna make a movie out of like a cartoon show way back in the day? That's
It
obviously
was based off of like Hasbro toys, I thought.
The toys might have spawned the cartoon show back in the day.
Then that spawned the movie.
Yep. I just like it's gonna be so cheesy, but they made it so good.
I really like it.
The first one was.
But highly recommended. Don't watch the first and second one back to back. Because I didn't get why so many people complained about the second one at first until I watched them back to back. I'm like, oh, it's the same movie but a different artifact. So Give it about a week or more. But then it will just be as magical as the first.
Right. So TV shows.
I also read the Transformers books. Boring.
Oh.
Ugh.
Is that all you had to say about
Yes.
that? Okay.
Don't read them.
So TV shows. The first TV show I ever remember watching, and I rewatched it as an adult. This is not recommended. It's an old cartoon show called Ronin Warriors. And it's,
Never heard of that.
oh my god. It's on my external hard drive. I'm pretty sure still. One of my friends found it and he gave it to me and I was like, I gotta rewatch it like nowadays and
That bad?
it's basically about these 5 guys who had the ceremonial samurai armor and they fought some evil lord
So
thing.
Power Rangers?
Kinda. Power Rangers in cartoon form, like back in the early 90s, if it was even in the 90s, it could have been in the 80s.
I can't stand Power Rangers.
Oh man, it was good. That 70s show was probably the first TV show.
I do love that one as well.
I think that's the first TV show I ever watched where I waited I was looking forward to the next week's episode after I seen that week's episode. Like that was always the thing talked about in high school.
I was lucky enough that I got to binge them.
Oh.
Because I was born a little bit after you.
Yeah, it would have been cool to have that option.
I'm sure it was being made when I was alive, but I just was not old enough to watch it.
Yep.
Again, we were pure. We didn't really have cable.
When you say pure, you mean poor?
Pure, as Trixie Mattel says it.
Okay.
Are you poor?
Yes. All right. And my favorite TV show of all time, Futurama.
I do like it. He's got me hooked out.
Oh, I've got. Last time we went to Comic-Con, I got some Futurama decals, and they're on my clipboard at work. So I've got the Planet Express ship.
I like Leela.
I rewatch it. Like it's probably the only reason I still have a Hulu subscription is to watch Futurama. I love it so much. This is the reason I haven't uninstalled the app on my PlayStation. Yes, thank you to my sister who's letting me mooch.
I'm not the sister.
Nope.
It was a bit weird that you patted me. Thank you to my sister.
I was thinking. All right.
So, you made me remember one of ones, which will be a bonus. But
Okay.
I put Friends. Obviously, I was not alive when it was. No, yes, I was. Yes, I was.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I lost it. It ended in 2004 or 2005, didn't it? So yes, I was very much alive.
I didn't watch Friends.
He says he doesn't like 90s sitcoms, but that 70s show, Seinfeld and Third Rock from the Sun, he all likes.
Third Rock from the Sun, definitely. Seinfeld, I've rewatched it once. I don't think I'll rewatch it again.
It's not as good as I thought it was.
No.
Anyway, but I watched Friends a lot because my parents were very young. They were 18, 19 when they had me, so that's why we were pure. Pure. And they grew up on Friends too. They loved watching it, so I watched it too.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like the huge box set, and I would watch the DVDs. But when we moved out, I'm like, oh, it's okay, it's on Netflix. And then they took it off of Netflix, and I am friendsless. I have 2 real friends, don't worry. And then I put the usual Nickelodeon shows. I was not raised on Disney. Like, my dad was like, no Disney. We're gonna watch SpongeBob. So I grew up with like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, a version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I feel like every generation has a version of it.
Yeah.
And I watched. There was iCarly, Victorious, and then House of Anubis was one of my favoriteest ones.
I've never heard of that.
I'm not surprised.
Oh.
It was like a, I don't want to say frat house. It was like a boarding school in Britain or England somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it dealt with like mystery, and it was like an intense show, but it was funny at the same time.
Was it on Nickelodeon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like 3 seasons worth? I don't know. But I like It's like I have to be at home on time to watch it. And I don't get so excited. And then I also put Drake and Josh because that made me laugh a lot. And I've rewatched it as an adult, and it's still funny. It's still funny, bitch. But then you reminded me, I Love Lucy.
Yeah, that's what we very first started watching when we moved into this apartment. Was
I have the whole box set.
Yep.
But I was not alive, obviously, when they made that. Neither were you. Neither was my parents. It was still black and white, obviously.
Yep.
But it makes me laugh. It makes me happy.
Mm.
I love Lucy, literally.
I watched it. It was one of the shows I watched at my grandma.
My old soul loves it.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Classic.
So for some bonuses, because there's a couple things that I wanted to write down that
Another cracker.
I'd also like to share. Obviously, Fallout New Vegas and World of Warcraft, those were huge games that stuck with me. Fable on the Xbox, original Xbox, that was so much fun when that first came out. Remember it being like the RPG to play at the time, and I still love it to this day. I've got the original Xbox still hooked up to play it from time to time. The Halo books. So with the Halo games on the Xbox, I don't know which came first, the stories or the game.
Hopefully they're not hearing my chewing.
Oh, that's okay. I do know that the books had to have come first because the game is the second book in the series. And at first there was 3 books, 3 books released, and I did a report on one of them. I think it was the first book, The Fall of Reach. My last bonus would be the X-Men cartoon show from back in the 90s. I remember growing up. My mom watched the X-Men show with me.
I'm trying to get the theme song in my head, but it's not coming to surface.
No, 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 no.
There we go.
No, 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 no.
I almost started going, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, any bonuses for you that you want to throw out an honorable mention to?
Maybe Once Upon a Time. I started watching it in high school. It finished when I was out of high school. I liked that. That was like my first adult show.
Oh, Once Upon a Time.
Well, I stopped watching kid shows and then I just watched Friends for years. Then I went to Once Upon a Time. That's how I roll.
Mm.
Friends.
I typically just rewatch shows that I've watched throughout my life. Rarely is there a new series that I dive into, with the exception of Breaking Bad.
And that's one.
The Witcher, I started watching again.
Oh
God, that's really stuck in my head. But yeah.
He's so good looking. How could you not dive right in?
But anyways, I think that's going to about wrap up this video. I think it got a lot longer than we intended it to be.
Oh, I knew it would be long.
Okay. As long as you don't mind it being a little bit on the longer side.
Well, we don't have to watch it.
We lived it. We don't have to deal with it again.
Sorry, guys.
Yep. Hopefully, at least you enjoyed some of these, all of these. If you have any other shout-outs in the comments for us to consider.
Yeah.
If I get free time, I like to try new things, but sometimes I don't like new things.
I did try a new series this year. Spinning Out.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
one season, it got canceled. I'm like, why?
Yeah, she watched the second to last episode, and